Welcome to the Moviegoers Society podcast brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis. And joining once again is my co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind who has found a new drinking buddy, it seems like. And he is, is he okay?
The juice is loose, you know?
The juice is loose and maybe a little too much juice for him. He's definitely very loose back there, and I hope he's breathing. I must say, hopefully.
Can confirm he's not, but he's still doing just fine, regardless.
They'll love it. Perfect background for what we're going to talk about. A lot of things we're going to talk about, but yes, in this podcast, we explore the world of cinema from beloved classics to the latest blockbusters, and we're on episode 54. It's been a while. I know it's been a wild few weeks. Labor Day came through, swamped with a bunch of stuff, but yeah. Episode 54, the juice is loose, and we head back to the afterlife with Beetlejuice, and we just stop there. We can't say it 3 times, obviously. And we have a lot more we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 4:30 movie. We're going to talk about the Killer's Game. We're going to talk about Speak No Evil, and I'm sure a lot of other things will come up as well. But before we get into all of that, we want to make sure you can connect with us online. You can find me on every single social media platform that we are trying to grow out there. So just follow us. You can follow me at Sean Taj, or you can follow Nerdtropolis at Nerdtropolis on X, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok. Been trying to grow the TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram as our YouTube is growing a lot. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Our Facebook page is on the road to, I think, 90,000 going. We're trying to hit 100,000 followers on our Facebook page. But yeah, follow us as well. And Drew, where can they find you when you're not contributing to Nerdtropolis?
You can find me and all the social media platforms, usually at Drew Munhausen. Next week, you'll be able to find me at Fantastic Fest. I'll be there helping to cover on behalf of Nerdtropolis. You can find me on Nerdtropolis too. I just had the Speak No Evil review post this week. So just kind of all over the place trying to watch some movies, especially after a little bit of a slower time at the theaters. You know, in our defense, we haven't been able to do a typical Moviegoer Society show in a while, but you know, between holiday weekends and just life in general and a lack of like big blockbusters, you know, I feel like we have a good excuse, right?
Yeah, but also we've been watching a lot of stuff. And we like doing this when we can watch a movie that we've both seen. We're going to also talk about movies that we saw separately, which is great. So we have a lot to cover. But also don't forget to catch up on past episodes of the Moviegoer Society. I believe our last one was Alien Romulus. That was a really fun one. And we have a lot of episodes y'all can catch up on. Tune into my podcast, Real Insights, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the Nerdtropolis YouTube channel. I dropped so much stuff from Terminator 0 to 1992 to Afraid with David Desmalchin. Spoke to Haley Joel Osment about Blink Twice and everything else you can think of, and spoke to even Peter Dinklage. Did you catch that one? And Juliette Lewis.
I did.
That was a fun one. I had to bring up the Toxic Avenger, but obviously couldn't. I didn't have much time to bring it up, but I did get to mention it, and I think he was happy that someone brought it up. So I have all that. I also talked to Leslie Grace, you know, the Batgirl that didn't happen. And that's a fun conversation. It includes also Levon Hawke about The Thicket. It's a great Western, guys. I'll tell you, it's a great Western. You can find all those interviews and reviews on there. And also there is a interview for the 4:30 movie with the newest Kevin Smith film as well. But before I do want to dive into a couple things, I got a couple collections here. I got sent season 1 of Vikings Valhalla, and I have not seen this, so I'm glad they sent me season 1. Have you seen this show, Drew?
I have not. I have not watched Vikings.
So we have to share this one then. We have to, because I hear great things about this. So I have season 1 in my hands that they sent me. I heard great things about this. The artwork's pretty cool in the front too. But that is available on Blu-ray if you are a Vikings fan. And I'm excited for this because I know it came out on DVD, but now it's on Blu-ray. The HBO original series, Succession, the complete series. What a show this
Now that
was.
is one I have seen every episode. I'm a big Succession fan.
So sad it ended. I felt like it shouldn't have ended for whatever reasons. I could have kept watching it. They could have gone 12 seasons, 13. I think there's ways to push the limits and push the story. I mean, there's so much stuff that could happen. A lot of great characters. But yeah, that is also available on Blu-ray. So Succession, the complete series, and Vikings Valhalla. Some good stuff for television, I must say. Speaking of television, I'm gonna have some Frasier interviews actually for season two coming up. I will have Tulsa King season two review, and I will also have what I just told you about this Penguin. I will have a review about the Penguin series as well. So television is back. I think that's what the fall season's for, and I love it. I'm a movie fanatic. I prefer movies over television, but when you have great television, I'm all in. Just like Only Murders in the Building season four. I'm watching that right now. Hooked. If you have not watched that, check that out.
Are
And
you watching The Rings of Power at all? Season
no,
two?
as the mayor of Nerdtropolis, Lord of the Rings is not my forte, even though I did like the films and everything else. And I'm excited for the animated film. There's so much to consume and understand. I never read the books, and I feel like I'm not the fan for it. I want to know as much as I can about it. I don't think my brain has enough storage space to take it all in. But I know it's amazing. Have you been watching Rings of Power?
I am a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I watched the first season of Rings of Power, and to be honest with you, thought it was pretty mid. So I have not started season two yet, but I was with some friends last weekend, and they were saying positive things about the first couple episodes. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will. I just haven't been eager to jump into it because I found the first season to it looks really good, but content wise, like it drags a lot. So I might dabble here soon and check it out, but it's just not a priority for me. And especially, I just finished House of the Dragon season two. I've had my fantasy fix, so you know,
Yeah,
maybe soon.
yeah, I get it, and it's best to kind of wait for all the episodes to drop. There's certain shows I'm fine week to week, just like Murders in Building. I'm fine week to week. X Men '97, week to week. I was fine with. Agatha All Along is coming out, so that might be something to talk about. Um, you mentioned you're gonna be at Fantastic Fest next week.
And there's some
Um,
good things dropping during that time because it's like Agatha All Along, I think drops the night or the day before I leave. But then while I'm there is when Transformers 1 comes out. So I'm hoping I might actually slip away
Please
from the
go
festival
see.
to try to
You
catch that.
should go see that. I've seen it, and they gave me more opportunities to watch it. I wish I had the time because I would watch that a million times. My reactions out there for Transformers One, um, just wow. That's all I will say. Dropping that review, I think tomorrow for Transformers One. So thanks for that reminder as well. Yeah, Drew will be at Fantastic Fest. A lot of coverage coming there. Gonna help him out as much as I can virtually with whatever that we can do because I don't think I can make it out there because I am going to New York next week. I'm not going to say why. No one knows why. It is a shocking reason why. An unbelievable reason why. So stay tuned to our socials, especially mine or Nerdtropolis. And I
What
will
a
be.
tease.
It's a super tease. Trust me. It's pretty wild. So I think I'll be. It's still unbelievable what's going to happen. So just stay tuned for that. I will be back also in New York in October for New York Comic Con. So I will be out there as well for a lot of stuff coming in for that. So we're busy. It's crazy. It's going to be a wild time, and it's only what September. So we got a lot going on, and we have a lot to talk about here. I do want to talk about the 4:30 movie before we jump into some other stuff and end off with Beetlejuice. The 4:30 movie is Kevin Smith's most personal film to date. It's very heartfelt. Takes place in the 80s about these kids jumping um, from movie to movie. And there is one kid in general that wants to catch a movie with this girl that he really likes. I really love it. It's a fun trip back to the 80s, following three 16-year-old friends. Very reminiscent of our times, Drew. I'm sure we had very similar teenage years and we had mutual friends and stuff like that. We hung out a few times in high school. That's how we know each other. But the mall and the movie theater was our place, and the roller rink. I think those are really the three primary places. But the movies were a big deal for me, and it's been a lot of my time at the movie theater since I was a little kid. But this film is out this weekend. If you can catch the 4:30, it's funny to say. I love the title, the 4:30 movie at any of your local theaters because it's a kind of a limited release. It's an indie film, but it's really great. It stars Austin Zadger, and it also has Sienna Agudong, who was in Resident Evil and starred alongside Lance Reddick in that. And who actually I got to meet when I went to the Reddick I went to the Reddick home for Lance's beautiful memorial service. So it's great to catch up with her. She's really great in this. It's wild. She was just a kid in the Resident Evil show. Now they're all grown up. All these kids are grown up now. We're feeling old. But the 4:30 movie does have all that signature Kevin Smith, witty dialogue, humor, and the raunchiness is there. It is a rated R film, but like it gets its rated R rating for a different reason, really, per se. It's not really a hard R, and it has some great cameos, I must say. Tons of great cameos. You're gonna be like Leonardo DiCaprio looking at the screen, pointing at everybody that pops in, and some really funny stuff. And I really liked it. I think it's one of his best films, and it's a cinematic treat, and it's out in theaters this weekend.
It looks like it is going to be showing at some theaters around me, so I might try and catch that this weekend because I always, I have a soft spot for Kevin Smith. Of course, I've seen all of his films, and some of them are, I think pretty varying degrees of quality. But I thought that Clerks 3 was a little bit more of a return to form for him, even though it wasn't the best Kevin Smith movie. I still thought it was quite enjoyable. So the 4:30 movie, just the content of it appeals to me in particular.
Any showtimes for 4:30 at your local theater? Because
I have to look over the weekend. It's showing tomorrow, and there's some in the evenings because I think it opens tomorrow.
They
night,
should only offer this movie at 4:30 at all cinemas, especially if
there's a 4:20 on Friday.
Not quite there, but do you see that? Do you see behind me? I have Beetlejuice back there in between my McDonald's spookiness, and you see the Clerks box set right there. Have you seen that? It's like the whole Clerks,
yes,
the quick stop and stuff. So speaking of Clerks, that's a really cool collector set right there, and I got Beetlejuice sitting right up there, and looks like I'm in the afterlife with all the green behind me. I had to match Drew's flair with Beetlejuice behind him. So yeah, if you're a Kevin Smith fan, watch this, support it. Yeah, this is awesome. It's filmed at his movie theater, Smodcastle, which is really cool. But it's a lot of fun and great cast, and I can't wait to see more from them. I got an interview with the full young cast. It's really fun. Yeah, it's a really fun interview, so definitely check that out. Drew, before we do get into the Beetlejuice, we both had two different movies because they were on the same night. So we split between amongst us, and you saw Speak No Evil, and your review's up on Nerdtropolis. So let's go over Speak No Evil and talk about if you saw the original one or not.
I did. So, and it's kind of hard not to talk about the new one or review the new one if you've seen the original, without that context, because it's the original came out in 2022, so it's still pretty recent, and it's a Dutch movie. It showed at Sundance. It got like a midnight screening, and it's had a lot of buzz in the horror community. And I had heard things of it, of like, this is kind of the feel bad movie of the year sort of thing. And so I went. I did seek it out. It was on Shudder. I watched it, and I'll just say this: I was shook by it. Like it left me feeling pretty uncomfortable and depressed by the end of it. So it sticks with you, which means that it's doing its job. So when I saw that they were remaking this movie, especially so soon after the fact, of course, my eyebrows kind of raised. I'm like, why would you do that? Especially because the Dutch movie has a lot of English in it. Like it uses a lot of English language dialogue. So it's not like it's even all in another language. So it's just an interesting choice. But of course, you have some more well-known stars in this remake with James McAvoy and Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy. And so I thought, you know what, I liked this movie a lot. I'm interested to see what they do with the remake. And I'd say the remake is really solid. For those that are wondering, I don't want to get into spoilers, but the first 2/3 of the movie are nearly identical to the original Dutch version, but it takes some pretty big detours in the third act. And some of those changes, I mean, the ending's very different. So I'll just say it seems like maybe they made a lot of changes to have more mass audience appeal here in the States, is all I'll say about it. But I still thought it was the changes they made, and the James McAvoy performance in particular kind of justified remaking it. I think McAvoy is the reason to go see this movie. I love James McAvoy, especially when he's playing these kind of more unhinged characters like we've seen in Split and Glass and things like that. In Speak No Evil in particular, he does this amazing job of being able to be truly one of the most charming people you've ever witnessed. And then when you see the flickers of crazy behind the eyes, you're like, oh, there, it's just a really well done performance. And of course, by the end, he's just able to let it all out and really run with it. So Uh, the other performances in this are good. Mackenzie Davis and Scoot McNairy are fine as kind of this like unassuming couple that takes this vacation and so on and so forth. But if you're gonna go see it for the crazy James McAvoy performance. And I think the less said about the plot and what happens in it, the better, because I saw the original movie pretty blind going into it, and I think that's why it was such a resonant experience. So I think with this one too, if you haven't seen the trailers, maybe avoid them, because I think it shows a lot in the trailer, and just go see it and enjoy it. This is not a jump scare heavy horror movie. It's really more of the unsettling, impending sense of dread type of movie that I find to be really effective in horror, even more so than cheap jump scares. So that's it. I think I gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5 on my Nerdtropolis review. But overall, I'm pretty positive on it, and I think you should go see it.
Yeah, that's a great rating. That's a solid movie. I saw the trailers. I didn't want to see it because it seemed creepy, and I was gonna have nightmares maybe. I picked the Killer's Game. So Dave Bautista right there, who plays like a hitman that falls in love, and just somehow all hell breaks loose. I'm not going to give too much of plot away. I didn't watch any trailers for this film. Went in blindly, so like a lot of the twists and turns are really fun and great. It's a fun movie. It's kind of like it's got a lot of action, like a John Wick movie. It's really wild. It's like the new craze now, is everyone's trying to go with this super hyper, like hyper visual violence, a lot of crazy blood, a lot of crazy kills. It's really awesome. And Dave Bautista's great. I wanted to watch it because of Dave Bautista. It has such a great cast as well. I mean, Ben Kingsley's in it, and surprisingly, he's like really good in that. Like, he's a great actor. I love him in everything. And he has a pretty, not a huge role, but he's in the movie quite a bit, and it's fun seeing him and Batista play off each other. And also Terry Crews is in it as well. So you got a great cast as well, and it just felt a little long for me. It took a while before the action kicked in, I must say, because it is a love story, which was great. I love the love story aspect of it, but it kind of takes a while for all like everything to hit to high gear and get into it. So, by the time you get to the climax and everything, you're like, all right, let's wrap this up and go for it. But it's still a lot of fun. And I'll watch anything that Batista's in. But it also has Palm Clementif in it as kind of like one of the assassin villains. And to be honest, I wasn't a fan of her in this movie. It didn't work for me. I don't think this is the role for her. Um, She's great at Mission Impossible. She's obviously great as Mantis. She's fantastic. Uh, but I guess it does play into kind of the silliness of the film. There's a lot of comedy and a lot of over the top characters, and her character is over the top. But I'm like, it's hard to see her like that. But overall, The Killer's Game is a really fun date night movie, because I think whoever you go with is going to find something they like, have an actor in this film that they really like as well. And it has a really great actress. I keep forgetting her name because she is one of the stars. She's the one Batista falls in love with. She's in Rebel Moon.
Sophia Botella.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I knew I was forgetting someone. She's fantastic. I did not watch the second part of Rebel Moon, or I tried to, and that's a whole different story. But she's great in general. When I was watching her in this, I was like, she could be like a Talia al Ghul in the next Batman film. After especially watching, because she has everything I think that fits that character. She always has the look. I think she can play. She's not a villain in this film. She's who she falls in love with Batista, but I feel like she can be a badass. And that's what I can tell. Obviously, from Moon, she is, but in this film, you have a little bit of a different angle with her. So, The Killer's Game, I gave it, I think, my review hasn't dropped yet. I think it's dropping very soon. And I believe I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. So it's a solid blockbuster film if you want to go enjoy date night and see something that's maybe not Speak No Evil. And that's me and Drew were talking about it. I was like, I think I'll take The Killer's Game. Not in the mood for that. So it just depends on the mood. You got Speak No Evil or The Killer's Game coming to theaters this weekend as well. So
Sean, there's one major thing about The Killer's Game I have to ask you about that you've not mentioned. It's that WWE's own Drew McIntyre is in this movie. How is Drew McIntyre in this movie?
he's in the movie.
Uh-oh.
He does quite a bit in the movie.
Yeah, he's on the poster. At least the one I'm looking at here.
Come, I'm not trying to spoil anything. He's good at it. I mean, I knew he was in it, and everyone's talking to him, and I'm just like, I don't think he's there. I mean, he does his thing. He's there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just thought I'd ask.
I'll tell you, the
I gotta
comedy in this
always
movie, they
see.
make everyone caricatures in this film.
Mhm.
His role, and he has team up. I think he's with Scott Atkins. It's like they're a dynamic duo, him and Scott Atkins, and they're really fun together. I will say that they're really fun, but like not memorable or anything like that. Comes and goes most of the film, but it's a fun film. Lot of kills, a lot of crazy kills too. So I would say that some people were squirming in the audience of some of the kills, and yeah, I'm not. I could talk more about it, but I don't want to give away the plot because I thought it was really great. Some of the twists and turns, it was really great. So you got that.
For me personally, if I'm going to prioritize the Killer's Game or the 4:30 movie this weekend, which do I prioritize?
Oh, that's really hard. The 4:30 movie is a small budget indie film style. It's Kevin Smith. I would say try to support that as much as possible. Let's
Fair
find the
enough.
audience. Let's find the audience for the 4:30 movie and Kevin Smith, Batista, Terry Crews, Ben Kingsley's gonna find their audience. But it'd be nice to see if you want to go back to the 80s this weekend. Kevin Smith has done that for you with the 4:30 movie. I thought that was really fun. A very different type of film. A lot of nostalgia on that. So it just depends what type of flavor you want this weekend. But definitely support the theaters this weekend and anytime you can because it's a fun time. I mean, we have one last movie to talk about, which did some really impressive numbers, and that is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Did you see what the numbers are currently for that? I have not caught up
I
since
just saw. I know the opening domestic it made like 111 million. I think that worldwide now in its first 5 days it's up to like a little over 150 million worldwide. So it's doing really well.
Yeah, really good. So yeah, Beetlejuice is the sequel to the film that came out 36 years ago, which I've seen so many times.
Oh,
And
same. But I mean that was a VHS tape I was wearing out as a kid.
I mean, yeah, Michael Keaton's Batman and so forth, but like this is a different type of transformation for Michael Keaton. I think this is his best transformation character that's like he goes full in, like is this. Like he created something that no one has done before. Batman's based on something. I know he brought his own thing in Tim Burton then too, but the Beetlejuice is just something wild, which spawned off also that great cartoon that just celebrated its 35th anniversary. Um, so a great time for Beetlejuice, as October is just soon. Halloween is soon. Spooky season's already. I have neighbors that already put out their Halloween stuff. So, I mean, people are ready for this, and I think
I
that's
also have neighbors with little ghosts singing from
what.
trees and stuff already. So yeah, I can relate.
So I mean, this movie is going to do good for a while. I feel like, even though it came out, was it a week ago now? My calendar
It
is
came
so
out
skewed.
no less than a week. It came out last Thursday evening for Friday officially. So we're getting it before its first week.
Yeah, so definitely a fun film. Tim Burton returns, with a signature style. I think this is the latest film where he really gets to do what he wants to do. After his Disney stuff, and then obviously doing Wednesday, which he didn't get to lean too much what he wanted to do with Wednesday, but I think season 2 he gets to do more that what he wants, which is great. But also this film brings the writers, I believe, of Wednesday. I think that's who are the writers, were the season 1 writers who are also doing season 2, I believe. But yeah, it's a charming sequel to the 1988 classic. Like I said, Michael Keaton does shine as Beetlejuice. But the funny thing is, and I do agree, which I do like about the first movie, is like he's not the main character. He never was the main character, but he's very memorable. The first one works. Like he's not in it that long, and it takes a while for him to come. And that's
I
what I
think
love.
famously he has somewhere in the realm of like 17 minutes of screen time total in the first movie.
Which is
It's
probably
not
the
very
same in this
much.
one too. I mean, he's not really that active, which is fine. I have no problem with Beetlejuice not being in the movie the whole time because it's not really about him, but he's fun to have around. And everyone else is so great. So the story does focus on 3 generations of the Dietz family, with Jenna Ortega joining the new cast as Lydia's daughter Astrid. And I love that Catherine O'Hara is back. She steals. I think she steals the movie more than anyone else. She's so
I
great in
agree.
this. I think she's a highlight. Winona Ryder's great. I mean, she's gets right back into that, and Jenna Ortega is really great. Um, but story wise, I would say, Drew, it was so much to take in, and then everything got finished too quickly. Um, I maybe not have liked where Lydia is in her life. I thought it was weird and a lot of stuff we missed. I mean, it's been 36 years, a lot can happen, but I just didn't like the path she was on. But it's part of the plot. But I didn't expect her to be in the position she is. I didn't expect her to be, I will say, a TV star. 36 years later, I was not expecting that at all. What do you think about the plot itself? I know it's a little crammed, but a lot of fun stuff also was there.
I think, yeah, it feels like they're trying to do a lot, and some of those plot lines worked for me, and some of them really didn't. I think it's worth noting Willem Dafoe is in this movie, and I love Willem Dafoe, and I think he's good in it. But I mean, his whole part could have been cut from this movie. It's so unnecessary. He doesn't really add anything.
It's
Um,
cheesy, it's extra, it's putting a spotlight on a character we don't care about, even though we love Willem Dafoe. He's Wolf Jackson. He's like an actor that now is in the afterlife as he's the actor that always played a police officer or something. And he's in the afterlife and like he's kind of like solves cases now or something or whatever. And it's just it's a cute little thing that he's trying to do, but it was unnecessary and didn't really add anything to it. If anything, it kind of took a little bit away.
The other one too is I thought the Justin Thoreau character was pretty insufferable, and like it's by design, like he's kind of supposed to be, but it almost felt. I get it. This is like an over the top movie. You have, literally you have essentially limbo or the land of the dead, and with Beetlejuice and crazy things happening in these with these undead characters, and yet still this character felt like too much, and I didn't really enjoy the performance or what he was doing here. Um
I mean, he
so
was walking over Lydia a lot or pushing her towards direction. I was like, that doesn't make sense for Lydia to deal with something like this, despite them being in love or whatever we call it. We're not gonna get into major plot points, but it was kind of it was too over the top. We can't have so many over the top characters. It's really supposed to be just Beetlejuice over the top, and everyone's just mellow, and everyone's just on the same. I don't know, same page. And then you have one guy that's around you that's going crazy, but everyone's going crazy in this movie. It feels like even Catherine
yeah,
O'Hara is wild, but like it works. Like there's a reason why she's like she is, and her performance that's so over top is the only one that really works outside of Beetlejuice.
and it's what made the original movie work, right? Because in the original movie you have Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, and they die pretty quickly, and they're ghosts in their own home as this very like over the top and extravagant family moves in that they're annoyed with, and the whole thing is they want to haunt them and get them out of the house. So Catherine O'Hara brings some of that back, but at the same time, like we all are so like we find her endearing at this point because we've all grown up with this movie and this character, and so I think if you take the four real leads here with Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, and Jenna Ortega, I think they're all really good, and Catherine O'Hara is probably the MVP of the movie. I mean, Michael Keaton of course is great, and anytime Beetlejuice is on screen, uh, no pun intended, but the movie comes to life when he's on screen, right? Like anytime Beetlejuice is present, I'm all in. And I think Winona Ryder is pretty good. I think Jenna Ortega is good. And obviously, Jenna Ortega's presence is bringing in the younger audiences and the Wednesday crowd. And I think that's a big reason why this movie's doing so well financially across all age groups. So, um, I think the leads here all bring something, even though they're all kind of involved in different little plot lines, some of which work, some of which don't. Monica Bellucci's also in this movie, which continues the trend of Tim Burton, including whoever he is currently in a relationship with
Which is
in
fine
movies.
because he has great taste and talent and whatever you want to call it. And I'll tell you that but if he wasn't with Monica, I think the previous one would have done a better job at it. If I had to pick between his two, his previous lover and his current lover, it's a weird thing to say, because I just thought Monica Bellucci's character was just like cool, looks great. She's great at it, but she not much of a threat, I must say. I'm sorry, she wasn't
She
a threat.
Agreed. She has a really cool scene when she's first introduced, and what they did was some interesting visual effects. And what she does essentially as like this soul sucking witch, the visuals of that I loved. But otherwise, I agree. Like, not a real threat, just kind of there looming in the background.
Yeah, the trailers make it seem like she is really the problem. that I think that was the problem. Willem Dafoe and Monica Bellucci's characters could have been so much better, and they weren't. And honestly, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. A lot of time was wasted on where Lydia's dad, what happened to Lydia's dad. And we're not going to mention names, but there's a reason why he's not in the movie. And the backstory of that was excessive. They put him in it too much and was part of the plot too. And I don't think that was necessary. I think they could have just wrote him off, been done with it, and not make him part of the plot the entire movie. But he is part of the plot as well.
I completely agree with you. And again, like if you're aware of the situation, what happened, like it almost becomes distracting when it was so unnecessary. So I completely agree with you.
I mean, they didn't need to show the claymation part of it. I thought that was so long. I think there's a good 15 minutes of it. I'm probably over exaggerating. I can't tell time during movies how long things are. But about there's like 15 minutes of him in the movie or part of. I mean, he pops up a lot in a different way, and yeah, just unnecessary. You have all the different plots. I thought the best plot that they should have really dived into was Astrid's plot, where she meets the boy. I guess we can dive into some spoilers. We gotta talk. I mean, the movie's been out for a while, so we can talk it. But she pretty much finds her Casper. It's a Casper type character who was actually a murderer, and so that's like the twist there because she's trying to help him come back to life, but finds as murder. But there's nothing even scary about the kid, or we don't see him like it's nothing terrifying. So he's not even a terrifying thing as well. I feel like no one's terrifying in this movie, and that's what was missing because Tim Burton has done it so much, with Sleepy Hollow too. And what's the Johnny Depp barber one? What's
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd? I mean, if you brought a lot of Sweeney Todd into Beetlejuice, I think you would have had a masterpiece with the sequel. If it leaned more into that direction.
I like Jenna Ortega a lot. I think she's a good fit for this universe and this movie. The storyline of her, the boy, as you mentioned, at first I was like, please don't do that. Like, what are we doing? And then I kind of could see where it was going. Like, I don't know if you kind of guessed that twist beforehand, but I certainly did. And I think what's interesting about it, and it's interesting about a lot of the plot lines in this movie, is like it's resolved pretty quickly. Like there's a lot of little loose threads, and then they're really quickly like, okay, this one's done, this one's done, this one's done, and now let's get to like the Beetlejuice finale. And they kind of skip over some of that. So I just thought that was an interesting choice, almost like there maybe was more that they cut out of the movie and resolved quickly. There's a lot of practical effects that I thought were really good.
Oh, the majority of it was practical. I mean, to be honest, they said very limited CGI, a lot of stop motion miniatures, practical effects, fantastic. I mean, applaud them for all of that. Everything looked good. The visuals of the movie are good. There might be a couple moments you would think the CGI is cheap, but like it's a Tim Burton film. It's not supposed to be like realistic, It's the Burton world. It's weird. It's kooky, it's all that stuff, but everything was really fun and really gets you into spooky season.
There was a Beetlejuice baby that I thought was particularly effective and that I really enjoyed and found it truly unsettling. I enjoyed everything about that.
I'm just laughing about that one. That is a very funny one. I mean, that's a wild scene. That's probably what I hope the whole movie was like. Some very terrifying moments, things you don't know what's real and not real. There's a lot of great elements in this movie. Even the plot with Astrid and the Casper boy. If that was the main plot and that started early enough and they had a wild chase instead of the short chase and all that stuff and going through everything, the movie would have been much, much better. The movie is great. I would say that. I'm just nitpicking because I just wanted a masterpiece with this one, especially from Tim Burton. I wanted him to knock it out of the park. This wasn't just there, but it's a really great, entertaining I say family film. I think all generations will love it, but I just wanted more because we waited so long, and I'm not sure why it fell flat. Like, where the decisions, who made the decisions, the final decisions, because it seems a lot of things were glued together at the same time. A lot of scenes cut very weird to me, especially the Monica Bellucci scene, where who that cameo. Let's speak of that cameo of the janitor, Danny DeVito, as the janitor. That whole scene, it just was cut kind of weird to me. So I think that was it. I think pacing was a little bit of issue, or just I don't know.
And DeVito's in it just enough that I was like, has he always been billed as being in this movie, or is this a cameo? And then like because he spends a little bit more time in the movie than I think I expected.
That's
But
true.
it was good. I was glad to see him.
Yeah, that was a really funny part. I like seeing them in there. Obviously, they're great friends for many reasons. They've done so much together. But I mean, I still had fun with the movie. I mean, I gave it a salt. I get a 4 out of 5 stars. I was truly entertained the whole time, and I didn't have any problem per se with the movie. There was a couple incidents I'm like, that's kind of cut weirdly. But other than that, I was glued and really into it. But then when things got resolved fast, did you like the musical numbers in there? And did you like the musical numbers for now? I thought that was pretty
Pretty good. Not as strong to me as the original, but
right.
that's probably always going to be the answer. I think that's kind of my answer for this movie in general. I liked it. I think it's a fun movie. It's good. I maybe left a little bit disappointed, and maybe that's my own fault, but I feel like there was just really strong buzz behind this one. So I was really I really was expecting it to be great, and instead I thought it was pretty good. So
Yeah.
it's not a, I'm not saying that is taking away points from the movie. I think it's just with any of these movies we're nostalgic for the original. I'm probably still going to always prefer the original. That's still going to be the one I rewatch. I don't know if Beetlejuice is going to be a rewatchable for me, but I think it's a fun addition. And I think that just talking about those characters, Catherine O'Hara's character as Delia Dietz is the one who feels the most true to her character in the original, and her actions and what she's doing feel authentic to the character she's established and what her character would be doing. So I think that's why whenever she was on screen or Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice were on screen, I truly felt like I was whisked back to 1988 with that original movie. But not to discount everybody else, because I thought the other performances were all fine. But I think overall for me, I'm at good to pretty good overall.
Yeah, and I must say, like, I really wish the movie started where the last movie ended, in the waiting room. If they really just did that as like a pre-story, like catch us up, and you can even use claymation for that or whatever you want to do, kind of do that. I think that's what we should do, and then fast forward to present day. I feel like that was what was missing. I was like, maybe, I mean, I wanted to see what happened and how long it took him and everything else, when he got back to the afterlife and was sitting in that and got his head shrunken. Like, that's what I was hoping how it would start. And so, which is fine. Tim Burton said himself, he didn't watch the original. He didn't really pay attention to what the original wanted. He just made a fresh Beetlejuice movie, which is fine.
That's
It,
probably a smart move, right? And they've tried to do other ones over the years and that just couldn't get off the ground. And so I'm glad that we finally got something. And I'm glad that it's not Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii, because that's what they were going to do for a while. And I think this is probably better than what that would have been.
I don't know. I think I'm up for that for a third movie if that happens. But Tim Burton has this one out, and now they work on Wednesday season 2, which I believe is done because I spoke with Haley Joel Osment, who's in season 2, and he was telling me about his experience with Tim Burton. So I'm assuming that's maybe done, and that was done after they finished Beetlejuice and they wrapped up. And so I'm excited for season 2 of Wednesday, and I really think that's really where Tim Burton's going to shine. And I want to see more from him. I'm trying to figure out, like, he needs to come out with something that's going to knock us out of the park like wild, because it's been a while. I'm trying to
I don't
think of
know
like
if do you think we're ever going to get that kind of return to form from Burton for like what we're used to from the past and everything? Or do you think that it's just, new Burton is the Burton we get?
new Burton is the Burton before he got big, I believe, but still there's factors from studios and stuff that do push him into maybe the direction he doesn't want to go to. He's liking the not being handled much when he makes these films. That's what he really wants. He wants to be independent. And maybe that's what he needs to do. Make a smaller budget, low budget, like an indie style film with what he wants to do. I don't know what would be next for him. He does some really great stuff. I liked everything he's done. It's just like I wanted to love Dumbo, and I like a lot of aspects of it, and that's the reason he has a problem at Disney. So he got pushed in so many directions. But it's such a burden film if you watch that at the same time. But like that's not what he needs to make. Is like a Dumbo film. He needs to make something fresh out of his mind, not really touched by his previous works, and really surprise us with something. And I'm trying to think. I think the same goes for like Guillermo del Toro. You know, I'm waiting for something next from it. Like Pinocchio, great, loved it. It's still Pinocchio.
Mhm.
So really want to see something fantastic from these guys that are so talented and have delivered great films and really they know their craft and they're the best in the business to do. Hey, actually, a Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton type of team up will be great. You know, who knows what you can come up with? Something
Yeah, there's room
wild.
for a fun collaboration there.
Oh, you could probably get like an epic monster type movie between the two of them. So that's just where I'm at with that. But diehard Burton fans, they're going to enjoy this one. Beetlejuice fans are going to enjoy it too. I know some people are disappointed, but like go in having fun. It's Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice again, and that's all you need. And it's a good time. So, but yeah, that's a lot of movies we've been watching. We have a lot more probably going to be talking about.
It just feels like we're finally entering out of that kind of slow August, September period. We're entering festival season. So, like, you've got Telluride just happened, Venice, Cannes, and then I'm about to go to Fantastic Fest. TIFF is currently happening. So, like, we're about to enter, kind of the award season, movies laid out, plus some fun blockbusters interspersed. We've got a Transformers animated movie coming out. We've got Joker coming out soon, which I'm sure we'll cover. Plus all the fun horror and genre movies that I'll talk about from Fantastic Fest. And you know me, Sean, I'm always on the award circuit and following the Oscar buzz and seeing all those. So there'll be a lot coming in the next few months as we really start to get into all that. But still some mainstream appeal. Smile 2 I'm excited to see because I thought the first one was good. I'm sure we'll talk Venom, we'll talk
I mean, there's so many. I'm just even smaller stuff I'm looking at. Like there's Monster Summer, which would be interesting. I just House of Spoils. I think that might be something that's a Fantastic Fest. I believe is House of Spoils. There's just a lot of just interesting stuff being thrown out in the next few weeks. There's Salem's Lot that's coming to Max. That could be something at Fantastic Fest. I don't know. You know, a lot of secret
we'll
screening.
see. There are 5 secret screenings this year, and secret screenings can truly be any and everything and all over the place. So they're not always big studio releases. They can still be kind of hidden gems. So I'm going to try to catch as many of them as I can. I'm hoping that I can get in because those are always the really popular ones. So we'll see. And I'll be checking in and reporting. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Drew Munhausen. I'll probably be tweeting. I usually when I'm at these festivals, my Twitter becomes a little bit more active than it is otherwise. So I'll be on there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list of like what's coming out. I mean, like one weekend, it seems like Saturday Night, Piece by Piece, Terrifier 3. You got The Apprentice, and then you got We Live in Time. I wonder if that's gonna be playing at Fantastic Fest. Maybe they might sneak that in.
I know it's been at the other festivals. I'm really excited to see that one. It's just a matter of with Fantastic Fest, it's interesting because it's a different crowd. It's they want the weird in the genre. Although there are some mainstream movies there, right? Like they'll be showing The Wild Robot. We'll be seeing Never Let Go, the horror movie with Halle Berry. A Different Man with Sebastian Stan. There's Will and Harper, which is the Will Smith and Harper Steele documentary that will be on Netflix here in the coming weeks. There's going to be some fun mainstream stuff, but I always like catching Terrifier 3 and the other weird genre pieces. So that's my bread and butter at this kind of festival, finding the weird.
So there's a lot that we'll be covering. Please follow us on all our socials, especially Drew, myself, and Nerdtropolis. Make sure you're liking this video on our YouTube channel, subscribe, comment, all this stuff. We appreciate everyone supporting us. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe and share all that Nerdtropolis content. We're working overtime, it seems like now. Trying to find our energy back after a few weeks, not off per se, but me and Drew haven't connected in a while, so it's great to always catch up. And yeah, we have a lot more coming away. And once again, Drew, where can they find you?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. You can find me here with Sean whenever we're reviewing new releases on the Moviegoers Society. And if you're in Austin next week, you can catch me at Fantastic Fest. I'll be there. And if you see me, say hi.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoers Society. Once again, I'm Sean Tajipour, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will see you at the movies.